Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Apa kabar semua? Selamat datang di channel Endang W. Sebelum menonton, jangan lupa subscribe, like, komen, dan share. Kali ini kita akan mengikuti webinar bersama Dr. Stacy Chen. Saran nutrisi dan merokok untuk pasien dengan AMD. Selamat menyaksikan. Semoga bermanfaat.
Oke, jangan pergi jauh-jauh karena di sini ada yang cantik, ya, cantik, ya, orang ya. Ini apa nama guru saya, ya, cikgu saya nih. Jadi sudah lama ketemu juga. Jadi beri tepuk tangan buat Stacy Chen. Hi Stacy, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay. How are you, Stacy, in Singapore? Nice, yeah.
Yes, everything's good. Yep.
You're almost 2 years, yeah. We don't meet you, Stacy, yeah.
Yes, almost 2 years.
Yeah, we all miss you, Stacy. Okay, Stacy, will give presentation about nutritional and smoking advices to the patient with AMD. But before that, please I read the CV of Stacy. Yeah. So Stacy ini apa namanya, aslinya di Singapura, tapi aslinya Malaysia, tapi tinggal di Singapura. Kemudian pendidikannya adalah diploma optometri di Singapura tahun 2000-2003, bachelor optometri 2006-2008, dan dokter optometri di Aston University, ya. Apa namanya, untuk tesisnya. Kemudian sekarang ini ngajar di Nga'an Politeknik, kemudian di Parkway College, kemudian di Dr. Leo Adult and Pediatric Eye Specialist sebagai part-time. Sangat fasih bahasa Mandarin, bahasa Inggrisnya sangat jago. Kemudian juga terdaftar di SOP, EMO, ya terpaksa lah, kemudian Stacy jelas ya, sangat keren. Oke, Stacy, you will share your screen or I will share your screen?
I will share my screen.
Okay, thank you. Now the time is yours.
Thank you. Let me just. All right. Alright, selamat siang. So, first of all, I'd like to thank the Indonesia Optometrists Association for inviting me, and thank you everyone for taking time on a Saturday to attend this webinar. I know it's lunchtime. It's okay, you can have your nasi padang or your gado-gado while you're enjoying my session. Alright, so today my topic is on nutritional and smoking advice to patients with AMD, and this topic is related to my PhD that I completed last year, and I'll also be sharing some of my research results later, and I hope that after the end of this session, all of you will have a bit of more insight on what kind of advice to give to your AMD patients. Alright, so let's take a look. Of course, we know AMD, also known as age-related macular degeneration, it actually affects the macula. Alright, so let's take a look what happens at the cellular level when there's AMD. So of course, this is the healthy macula. So you have your layers, so photoreceptors, RPE cells, Bruch's membrane, and the choroid. So we know that AMD, there are different types. Generally, they are non-exudative and exudative. So in non-exudative, it usually occurs during the early stage. Okay, so during the early stage, you actually have this thing known as the basolaminar deposits. So why there's this basolaminar deposit is because there's an incomplete metabolism of the degenerating RPE cells. So subsequently, as this basal laminar deposits get accumulated. Okay, that's where we have the hallmark findings of AMD, which we always say, oh, there's drusen in the macula. So when this drusen or the retina starts to thin, right, it's actually where there's a degeneration of the RPE and also the accumulation of the metabolic byproducts. Mainly is due to the RPE dysfunction. Alright, so therefore these drusens are actually localized deposits. Okay, localized deposits over at between the RPE cells as well as the Bruch's membrane. So of course we, as the AMD progresses, it can actually eventually become exudative. Why is it called exudative? This happens when you have your the separation of the Bruch's membrane as well as the RPE cell. So there's actually a break over here. So we also call this as pigment epithelial detachment. So when these two layers actually separate, okay, then they have this space here, and beneath this Bruch's membrane, we know that choroid is full of blood vessels. So when this space is being exposed, then they will have this neovascularization that's going on. That's where we have the exudative AMD or neovascular AMD. Alright, so why are we so concerned about AMD? Okay, so we know that AMD affects our macula, okay, and of course our macula is very important because we use our macula to see. So when you're looking at the screen now, you're actually using your macula. So our central vision is very important for us, and this AMD affects our macula. And it has been shown that patients who have AMD, actually their quality of life is much reduced, and also it can actually cause an economic burden to the society if they have AMD. So therefore, if we look at the prevalence globally, okay, there's about by 2050, which is about 30 years down the road, about 21.3% of the population will be aged 60 and above. So if you are, so later I'll share with you on the causes of AMD. So if you are age 60 and above, the chances of you getting AMD is slightly higher. And also, it has been estimated that by 2040, 288 million of the population will actually have AMD. So in Europe, in 2040, they have estimated that about 14.9 and 21.5 million of the population will have early AMD, and those who are affected by AMD by 2040 is actually between 3.9 and 4.8 billion. So as we all understand that usually AMD affects the Caucasian, okay? So, but there are actually more recent study done on Asian countries for Asian population. They are Japan, China, India, and Singapore. So they actually found out what is the prevalence of AMD in these four countries. So for those aged between 40 to 79 years, so those affected with early AMD is about 6.8%, and those who have AMD is about 0.56%. So if you compare the prevalence of the AMD in Asians will actually be comparable with that reported in the Caucasian. So you cannot say that, AMD only affects the Caucasian. So actually, if you manage to grow older, if you're affected the AMD, you actually have a high rate of getting an AMD as well. Alright, so let's take a look at the causes and risk factors of AMD. So the term itself, we say it's AMD, has already suggested that aging is associated with a higher incidence, and in fact age is the primary risk factor. So there's this free radical theory of aging, so it actually identifies the reactive oxygen intermediates. So what is this ROI? ROI is actually something that is being produced. Okay, so our body needs oxygen to perform certain functions. So when they do that, they actually, as a result, they actually can produce ROI, and ROI is not good because it can actually cause cumulative damage to our DNA and also to other cells, so therefore our cells die. So when we age, there's a lot of changes in our body. So when these ROIs are being produced, okay, so as a result, it can actually cause oxidative stress, which is the next cause of AMD. So oxidative stress refers to cellular damage caused by the ROIs. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, that is because of all these biological functions that's going on in the body. So there's actually an excess of oxidants. Okay, so why is so the reason why our retina is, especially our macula, is highly prone to this oxidative stress is because our macula actually consumes a lot of oxygen, and also because there's a high amount of polyunsaturated fatty acids in the macula. Excuse me. So as we know that oxidative stress has been identified as one of the main causes of AMD. So when you have oxidative stress, meaning the amount of oxidants and antioxidants, there's an imbalance as well. So therefore, sometimes we use the antioxidants, okay, to kind of like control this oxidative stress happening in the retina. So under oxidative stress, there is smoking. All right, so because when you smoke, right, it actually causes a very high concentrations of free radicals. Therefore, you have an increased state of oxidative stress in the body. Okay, so therefore, if you smoke, it actually can have this oxidative stress. And the last one would be the genes. Okay, so studies have shown there's a very strong correlation between a family history of AMD and also subsequently development of both early and late form of the disease. So there has been studies that shows that if you have a family member who has AMD, you can actually have a nearly 4-fold increase of getting the disease as well. Okay. Alright, so they are actually we all know generally AMD is being categorized into the dry and the wet type, but there are also other grading systems such as the AREDS grading system, which I'm going to discuss now. So so they actually categorize it to four types. So category 1 would be there is no AMD, so there's no drusen, or maybe a very small drusen which is less than 63 microns in diameter. So 63 microns is roughly about the size of your central retinal artery. Okay, so if you have a photo of the fundus, then the central retinal artery, you just use that as a gauge to determine the size of the drusen. Alright, then category 2 is early stage AMD. So you can have any or all of the following. So if you have multiple small drusens or a few intermediate drusens, and also in one or both eyes for some RPE abnormalities. Next would be category 3 is the intermediate AMD. So you can have any or all of the following. So you have a lot of intermediate drusens, okay, and this one large one, so it has to be bigger than your central retinal artery in either one or both eyes, or geographic atrophy but not involving your fovea. And last but not least is your category 4, okay, which is your advanced AMD. So you will have geographic atrophy involving the fovea, and then you have a lot of abnormal and fragile blood vessels under the retina. So it's like a neovascular form of AMD already. Alright, so there are actually some studies that's done to show the relationship between AMD and smoking and AMD and nutrition. I'll just quickly share a few key ones. So as I mentioned earlier, I mentioned that smoking actually increases the oxidative stress. So therefore it increases the risk of AMD. And on top of that, it also decreases the choroidal blood flow. It stimulates your choroidal neovascularization and also reduces the amount of antioxidants in the blood. Therefore, it causes it has all the factors that to stimulate the AMD from worsening. AMD has also been shown to be positively correlated with the duration of smoking as well as the number of cigarettes. So the few studies that show the relationship between smoking and AMD includes the Beaver Dam Eye Study, Rotterdam, Blue Mountains Eye, all shows that current smokers actually have a higher risk of neovascular AMD. And on top of that, the Rotterdam study found that the increased risk of neovascular AMD was present even up to 20 years after the patient has stopped smoking. Okay, so the relationship there is very strong. Then the next would be on the nutrition. So the AREDS, age-related eye study, was actually the first large clinical trial to evaluate the effectiveness of having a high dose of antioxidant supplementation as well in decreasing the progression of AMD and associated visual loss. So in this study, they actually gave the patients this formulation, which is 500 mg of vitamin C, 400 IU of vitamin E, 80 mg of zinc, 2 mg of copper, and also a lot of vitamin A, which is about 28,000 IU of vitamin A. So during this study, they found that this supplementation is actually good for patients who is having AMD of category 3 or 4. So if you can remember the grading system that I mentioned just now, so category 3 or 4 is intermediate and also advanced AMD. But at the same time, during this AREDS study, they found that beta-carotene could actually increase the risk of lung cancer in smokers. So therefore, they had this AREDS 2. So in AREDS 2, they actually replaced beta-carotene with other carotenoids such as lutein and zeaxanthin. Okay, they also included some polyunsaturated fatty acids such as DHA and EPA, and also they tried to lower down the dosage of zinc. So lutein and zeaxanthin are actually carotenoids that are found in the macula and can only be obtained through our diet. And one of the ways to assess whether the consumption of this lutein and zeaxanthin is effective is that researchers actually use this thing called macular pigment optical density. We call it an endpoint to assess whether by taking this antioxidants or taking these carotenoids is it actually helpful for the patient. So in these two studies, the CAMIS as well as the LAST, which is the lutein antioxidant supplement trial, they found that not only did it increase the endpoint, the density, the amount of pigment in the macula, it actually also improved the visual acuity and contrast sensitivity in patients who consume this tool. And more recently, it was discovered that if you're in your diet, if you don't have enough polyunsaturated fatty acids, right, it can actually increase the risk of AMD. And the main reason is because they found that DHA actually accounts for about 50 to 60% of the total fatty acid that is present in our photoreceptor outer segments. So the US twin study of the AMD found that those who consume the highest amount of omega-3 fatty acids actually has a reduced risk for any stage of AMD. So Alright, so what you can see here is actually a flow chart that it's actually a clinical decision making in the form of a flow chart that is being designed by my senior from Aston University. So this tool is actually to help optometrists to make a decision. So based on this flow chart on what is the appropriate nutritional advice that they should give to to their patients based on the fundus examination. So I'll just quickly go through. Okay, so if you see the fundus photo and you see if it's normal, okay, and then let's look at the next one is whether does the patient have any family history of AMP. So if it's normal, no family history, obviously you don't need to do anything, right? But if let's say the patient have a family history of AMP, then we need to look at how old is the patient. Okay, as we know that AMP usually affects patient age about 50 to 85 or maybe older. So if the patient is age above 50 and if it's yes, so we will look at advice 1. Okay, so advice 1 would be just to let the patient to consider dietary modification. So it's mainly to increase the amount of lutein and zeaxanthin in their diet. Okay, so you can ask them to eat either a large cup, about 150 grams of spinach or kale, or 2 eggs per day. Alright, so if let's say we look at the fundus photo and the fundus photo don't look normal, sorry, it looks at normal cell, and then we look at how old is the patient. So if the patient is maybe 60 years old, for example, then you go to yes. Then you look at are there any drusen at the macula, and then if it's yes, then how big are the drusens? Okay, is it larger than your central retinal artery? If it's yes, okay, in the fellow eye, okay, are there any drusens that are larger than the central retinal artery or any geographic atrophy not involving the center of the macula? So if everything is yes, then you go to advice 2. So advice 2 would be can consider to ask your patient to take the AREDS formulation, okay, in the supplement form. Okay, but if they are taking any forms of prescribed medication, you have to get them to consult their GP before they take any of these supplements. Okay. Alright, so am I in the right? Okay. Sorry. So this is some of the results from my research. So what I did is I actually tested the flowchart that you saw earlier on 50 optometrists in Singapore. So what I did is I got them to fill up their confidence level based on these 7 statements. So they actually write down their confidence level. So 0 meaning they are least confident and 100 meaning